Hi, Prairie Science classes. My name's Nora, and I actually used to be a Prairie Science student out here just like you. I'm also a Girl Scout, and recently I was able to complete my Girl Scout Gold Award project, the highest achievement you can get in Girl Scouts. I feel like the Prairie has helped me so much, and I want to give back to it. The mission of my project is to help grow the local trumpeter swan population out here by building a swan nesting platform. Okay, Prairie Science students, before I tell you a little bit about swans, I'm going to first test your swan knowledge. Do you know how many swans currently live in Minnesota? Is it A, 30,000, B, 15,000, or C, 22,000? Do you know if swans find a different mate every season? Is it A, yes, or B, no? Do you know what a baby swan is called? Is it A, a chick, B, a swanling, or C, a cygnet? Do you know where swans like to nest? Is it A, on the ground, B, on top of muskrat and beaver dams, or C, in trees? And finally, do you know what swans like to feed on? Is it A, scuds and invertebrates, B, fish, or C, aquatic grasses? Now, if you don't know any of these answers, don't worry. I'm going to show this quiz again at the end, and hopefully you'll have learned a little something about swans. Now let's learn about swans and their history in Minnesota. Trumpeter swans are Minnesota's largest native waterfowl and their heaviest flyers. They can have up to a 10-foot wingspan and can weigh up to 30 pounds. They are so large, they need a 100-yard runway in the water to take off and land, and it sounds like they're galloping on the water as they take off. Swans are a very important part of Minnesota, but they almost went extinct from the area in the 1800s. They were hunted for their feathers and had their habitat disrupted, since they liked to nest on top of muskrat and beaver houses, and those animals were being hunted as well. The Minnesota DNR started an initiative in the 1960s to restore trumpeter swans in Minnesota. Public education programs on the importance of swans, protection from hunting, and habitat restoration boost their numbers. As of 2021, there are over 30,000 swans living in Minnesota. In the wild, swans will find a mate when they're between the ages of 2 and 4. A female swan, called a pen, and a male, called a cob, will lay 5 to 7 eggs each year and actually incubate them with their feet. Their babies, called cygnets, will stay with their parents for about a year until their parents lay a new clutch of eggs. And the cygnets, year after year, will return to the area where they were born. Tunxeth Lake is full of a swan's favorite food, aquatic plants. They love to eat the leaves, seeds, roots, and tubers that grow in there. In fact, some swans can have red stains on their heads from minerals from the water for ducking their head down to eat. Although the population of trumpeter swans has been increasing in Minnesota over the years, there are still no swans at the Prairie Wetlands Learning Center that lay their eggs. And this is the problem that my nesting platform aims to fix. I worked with PWLC staff to have my project plan approved, and then it was time to get to work. I had to fundraise, buy my own materials, and build the nesting platform. My first attempt at building didn't go so well. The prototype turned out to be too small, and I had to expand it to be 5 by 5 feet. I had help building from my Girl Scout troop and my family. It also took lots of help to move the platform to Tungseth Lake, and I even fell in the lake when I was securing it in the water. The nest box actually floats on the water in order to keep eggs away from the predators. As you can see, my last step was to beautify the platform with mud and different plants and cattails to make it look like a natural swan nest. This, of course, is because swans like to nest on top of muskrat and beaver dens. And you, Prairie Science students, will be helping me by visiting my swan platform in the spring. Be on the lookout for a pair of swans and their cygnets. All right, now let's review what we've learned today. Do you know how many swans currently live in Minnesota? Is it A, 30,000, B, 15,000, or C, 22,000? The answer is A, 30,000 swans live in Minnesota. Do you know if swans find a different mate every season? Is it A, yes, or B, no? The answer is B. Swans keep the same mate their whole lives. Do you know what a baby swan is called? Is it A, a chick, B, a swanling, or C, a cygnet? The answer is C. Baby swans are called cygnets. Do you know where swans like to nest? Is it A, on the ground, B, on top of muskrat and beaver dams, or C, in trees? The answer is B. Swans like to nest on top of muskrat and beaver dams. And finally, do you know what swans like to feed on? Is it A, scuds and invertebrates, B, fish, or C, aquatic grasses? And the answer is C. Swans like to feed on aquatic grasses. My hope for the future is that a pair of trumpeter swans will choose my nesting platform to lay their eggs. This way their cygnets will come back year after year and lay their own eggs in the Fergus Falls and PWLC area. If we're lucky, the prairie wetlands will soon be home to many more trumpeter swans, and the local population will continue to grow and flourish.